Hello, I'm Dana Mitchell. I'll be presenting childhood and adolescent obesity. So the questions that we were given are here. How is the community medicine issue acquired? What are the individual and population-based characteristics of the issue? Are there any high-risk groups of interest? What prevention and control strategies are considered for case management? And the concept map will follow. So obesity in the US is very prevalent. Obesity is defined by the CDC as a BMI at or above the 95th percentile of the CDC sex-specific BMI for age group charts, and this is in children and adolescents. In 2017 to 2018, 19.3% of children/adolescents from the ages of 2 to 19 were found to be obese, and that is 1 in 5 children. So there are many factors that contribute to obesity in young people. It can be acquired through biological factors with genetic predisposition, and that can influence certain unhealthy behaviors. Obesity can also be influenced at the societal and the community level. So the genetic component, we have monogenic obesity and polygenic obesity. Now, monogenic obesity is quite rare. It usually presents in children by the age of 2 years, and it is mutation in genes that are responsible for regulation of food intake and satiety and metabolism. So examples of conditions with this is Prader-Willi syndrome and Alström syndrome. Polygenic obesity is more common, where you have interaction between the environment and genetic susceptibility. Now, developmental components contributing to obesity. Babies that are breastfed are less likely to develop obesity than the ones who are formula fed. Eating habits usually develop in children within the first few years of their life, and this can contribute to obesity if there are poor eating habits. Now, parents usually influence a child's eating habits and availability of nutritious meals, and you have two ends of the spectrum. You have parents who are unable to prepare and provide nutritious meals for their children, whether it be due to poverty or inability to do so because of time constraints. And then you have parents who have strict restrictions on food choices, and these can both lead to obesity. In the second case, it usually occurs when children are exposed to other types of food outside of the household, whether it be through school or visiting friends, and they would then go towards or tend towards the palatable types of foods. In the community, things like the deprivation of the area, crime, urban areas, lack of recreational centers in the community, the prevalence of fast food outlets, and in the schools, poor quality of lunches, snacks, and beverages being served can contribute to obesity in children. Behavioral factors can include eating high-calorie diets and ingesting foods and drinks that are low in nutrients, decreased physical activity, and a sedentary lifestyle, where children would be involved in TV watching, recreational use of the computer, phone, tablet, and a lot of children you would see commute to schools via vehicles rather than some form of exercise. Now, the high-risk groups, race, sex, age, and socioeconomic factors contribute. Hispanic and Black ethnicity is usually the more prevalent. You'd see obesity more prevalent in these racial groups. and low household educational level and higher poverty levels, you would usually see obesity in these situations as well. Now, our prevention and control strategies, we would focus on the family unit to begin with. You want to educate families, especially the parents, on introducing healthy eating practices in the family. A diet that is rich in fruits, rich in vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, low fat or fat-free dairy products. You'd want to encourage the parents to have increased physical activity for their children. At least 60 minutes a day of physical activity is recommended. Decreased sugar intake. So all the sugary drinks and sugary snacks, the candies, you want to try to decrease that intake within the home. For children less than 2 years, you don't want any added sugar to their foods. And for children over 2 years, sugars should be less than 10% of their daily calories. Reduced screen time as well can contribute to the prevention and control of obesity in children. As I would have explained before, this increased screen time usually involves sitting around or lying around and using the computer or phones recreationally. So that can help to prevent obesity. Additionally, encouraging healthy sleeping patterns can help because, as you know, sleeping is very important for our health. At the community level, we can introduce campaigns that involve the media, involve educating families and children about the diets and exercise and the importance of these things. We can also provide counseling, screening, and have community health fairs. There can also be an encouragement of the use of stairs rather than elevators or escalators. And the improved school physical education curricula can help as well. You want to improve the access to recreation centers and after-school programs, social support interventions, access to places that can encourage physical activity like parks and so on, improving the safety of walking and bicycling, ensuring that the pavements are well structured, making sure that the built environment is very well structured to encourage walking, to encourage bicycling and even skating. And these are methods that children can use in order to get to school. So this is an active form of transportation rather than commuting in vehicles. The ease of access to healthy groceries and restaurants instead of the fast food outlets that are very rampant in certain areas and contributes heavily to obesity in children. So what if these methods don't work? Well, there's weight management, and this is, you can develop a program that uses a multidisciplinary approach that would involve a physician, involve a dietitian, and even a psychologist. Usually visits 1 to 2 times a week are recommended, but this is not suitable for children who are severely obese. Bariatric surgery, however, can be utilized more so in adolescents with a BMI of more than 35 who have at least one severe comorbidity or a BMI more than 40 with other comorbidities. So our concept map here shows the childhood and adolescent obesity and the influences, the different levels of the ecological model that can influence it here. So we have the genetic component, which can be related to the environment as well, as I would have explained. The polygenic component is influenced by the environment as well. And our environment, we have the family, we have the community. Now, the family, as I would have explained, sometimes parents are unable to provide nutritious meals at home. So that can contribute to obesity. In the environment, we have, again, the community. So things like crime, poor quality of school meals, lack of recreational centers, fast food outlets are usually influencers here. Our behavioral factors, the poor diets, decreased physical activity, and sedentary lifestyles are components that contribute to obesity in children and adolescents here. And the socioeconomic factors, as I would have explained, race, level of poverty, and household educational level. Now, to help manage the issue, we can, as I would have explained before, educate our families. Now we want to educate the families on providing or encouraging at least 60 minutes of a physical activity a day for their children. And you want to also educate them on the reduction of time spent watching television, using computers, phones, etc. And, getting outside, getting more involved in use of places that would promote physical activity and recreational centers, getting involved in after-school programs, etc. And we would also want to improve the poor diets of these children by encouraging healthy eating practices and like decreased sugar intake, etc. We want to encourage promote the ease of access to healthy, affordable groceries and restaurants. And these are my references, and that is it. Thank you so much for listening.